Late. Late again. The two most tardy people in this United States, and I stand here waiting. Again. If Robert E. Lee knew his business, he would schedule all of his battles to begin precisely at 8 o'clock, and both Lincoln and Grant would show up late.
Mother.
I'm here, and hurry! The general is to be here. Well, a half hour ago.
Oh, the room looks wonderful. I love Christmas.
Oh, well, the room is as welcoming as I can make it with a war going on.
Did I ever tell you?
Oh, probably.
Did I ever tell you that among all your endearing traits, and they are many, your ability to make this place, this house, still a home in spite of the turmoil, well, you both delight and astound me, Mary.
We are in the shank of Christmas. Is this called flattery?
We're in Washington. It's called politics.
Are you sure he is coming? I mean, it's the season and all. We have things we should be doing.
Well, there are times when that man is all that's held my army together, Mother. I won't deny him a few ticks of the clock.
Well, you won't talk strategy all night, will you? The season and all.
Well, if you can convince Jeff Davis to call a truce in order to eat a few bites of chicken, I'd gladly reciprocate. You know, war takes no holidays, Mary.
And Mrs. Grant?
He's coming alone.
Good.
Mary?
Forgive me, but our history together has not been pleasant. She has her eye on this house, you know, same as me. And I told her that day at City Point
Mary.
when we were relegated to ride in that nasty carriage simply because we were ladies.
Mother? Just one night? The general has taken a long and risky journey for just a few moments away from the front. I ask of you kindly, one night, one Christmas Eve night?
I remember the first Christmas of the war. Oh, we hosted such a wonderful party.
I wish it were time for a party again.
Oh, yes.
But then our second Christmas here, you remember that, don't you?
No, that escapes me.
The hospital.
Oh, yes, of course.
We visited the soldiers. And then last year.
Oh, I'll always remember last year. Taddy hasn't stopped talking about it.
Oh, he so wanted to do something for the soldiers. We brought the books, clothing. I still remember the look on his face running from cot to cot. The soldiers.
Mr. Lincoln? Father?
Oh, I'm sorry, Mother.
You were thinking about Sherman.
I'm afraid I was. 6 weeks, nothing.
Perhaps that is good news.
Mary, 6 weeks without a word. The thing must be done. I'm afraid I'm beginning to lose faith. You know, I trust the man, but 62,000 troops without supplies, without communication. I didn't interfere. I said nothing ventured, nothing gained. But now it seems...
Abraham.
I'm sorry, Mother.
For just this one night, let's let it be Christmas.
Oh, did you read this?
A Southern newspaper? I most certainly did not. Why do you?
Well, I find that there's a bit of truth can be found most anywhere.
Oh, pshaw.
It says here Southern children are being told that Santa's a Yankee and their pickets aren't going to let him through this year. They have nothing, Mary. Nothing to give their children.
Oh, Abraham.
Young William Null hurried to his grandmother's farm, which Union cavalrymen were ransacking. Arriving, the boy witnessed a spectacle I shall not soon forget. All the stock and forage was snatched up by Union troopers, doors ripped off during the greedy search for provisions. Some of the troopers grabbed his grandmother's collar, demanding money.
Oh, no, that is rebel propaganda. The Richmond paper said that Santa wasn't coming because the Yankees shot him.
thought you didn't read Southern papers.
Well, an item here or there.
James Holloway, Drainesville, Virginia. You have no idea how lonesome I feel this day. It's the first time in my life I'm away from loved ones at home.
The nation bleeds, Mr. President. That is war.
Well, streets of Washington are quiet tonight. No cannon litter our yards. The only smoke on the horizon here comes from chimneys. Mother's fixing tomorrow's Christmas dinner. But in Atlanta, Charlotte, Vicksburg, will they find Christmas there tonight? Most of this war, the bulk of it, is being fought on their meadows and streets. But what choice did we have? For them to win, they just have to survive. If we intend to win, we've got to restore this union. And that means we must conquer.
I am not unacquainted with the South, Mr. Lincoln. Many of my family and friends are celebrating there tonight. I know their hearts. They will make it a Christmas.
I hope so. But even those Southerners with money, they're not going to find anything to buy. I read in the paper their slaves are cutting up potatoes and parching them for coffee. Their ports are all but closed. They can't get sugar. The Charleston paper said they're starving mothers, digging dirt out of their smokehouses in order to boil it for salt.
And cutting up carpets to make blanket wool.
Well, the room is lovely. Thank you, Mother. Thank you for making art.
Oh, I hear something. Yes. Fritz's carriage. The general is here. Is that the best shirt you have on?
Mother?
The general has arrived. Is that your best shirt?
My best, well, at the moment, it's the only shirt I have on. Unless you prefer me to appear before the General of the Union Army bare-chested.
Well, we can at least be presentable. Oh, my. That cat.
Oh, I wish you could have seen her this morning, Mary.
Who?
Mrs. Patterson. She's from Illinois, you know.
I don't believe I knew a Mrs. Patterson.
Oh, well, of course. Her son David was wounded at Trevelyan Station, Virginia. She said he'd been ill from the very day he signed up for the Army, and he doesn't have much longer to live. Oh. So he wants to spend his final days with his mother.
So?
Well, there wasn't anything I could do. I asked Congressman Farnsworth to look into it. So, am I presentable enough for a general?
Oh, you are presentable enough for this general.
Mary?
Well, must he smoke that awful cigar? I mean, the carpets, the drapery. The last time he visited, I had to have my dress fumigated.
Mary, that cigar-smoking little general is the best hope for this union.
I know that, but...
And no talk of Mrs. Grant. Let's avoid your unpleasant relationship.
Mine?
Mary...
it's just that she makes me...
He's coming down the hallway.
I can hear him. Who else would wear spurs in the White House? Now, you won't talk all night, will you?
I promise. The general's come a long ways. I'm sure he's tired, and it's been entirely at my bidding. He leaves tomorrow for the war.
Mr. Lincoln, this is the house of the president. He hasn't knocked yet.
Yes. Well, maybe someday when he meets General Lee out in the field, General Lee will knock first. General.
Mr. President.
Always.
Mrs. Lincoln.
Always an honor.
Oh, the honor is mine.
Here, let me take your hat.
Oh, thank you, thank you. Oh, Mrs. Lincoln, your home looks quite splendid for the holiday.
Why, thank you, General. We were very pleased to have you with us on this eve of Christmas Day.
I'm afraid I must leave tonight.
Oh, and how is Mrs. Grant?
General, wouldn't you like to sit down?
Oh, well, thank you.
And feel free to smoke.
Thank you. I think I'm all right for the moment.
Mary, is there something that we can get for the General?
I'll send for some coffee.
Good.
Thank you.
So, have you...
No, nothing. 6 weeks.
6 weeks. What do you think it means?
Well, with any other general, there'd be cause for a great deal of worry and very little hope. But this is
Sherman.
Yes. He was my senior officer during the siege of Fort Donelson, but he wrote me saying, "I have every faith in you. Command me as you will." And you remember when Halleck relieved me from active command?
I do, yes.
Siege of Fort Donelson?
Yes.
Well, you stood by me. You said, "I cannot spare this man. He fights."
And you went on to win the day.
I did. But now, well, I don't know. I just don't know.
Well, what is known for sure?
Well, we know he took Atlanta. We know that the rebel armies of Hood, Wheeler, Forrest were all in the area. They could cut to his supply lines. We know he sent part of his army back to Nashville to deal with Hood.
And his lines of supply.
Oh, he cut them himself. Headed east through Georgia, destroying everything in his path. He should be near Savannah by now. I'd rather not think of the other.
Our general wants to stab at the heart of the South.
Yes, but in doing so, he's cut himself off from supplies, reinforcements.
6 weeks.
6 weeks and not a word.
Looks like somebody stole Christmas from this room.
Oh, Mother.
I'm sorry, I had to fetch it myself. It seems all the staff members are at home with their families tonight for Christmas. No
Thank
news
you.
from from General Sherman?
No, I'm afraid not.
Oh, well, we owe General Sherman for that coffee.
Ma'am.
Well, had he not taken Atlanta, well, let's just say we'd be drinking that coffee back in Springfield with a new president in the White House.
Thank you, Mary. And thank you for that reminder.
Anytime.
And feel free to smoke, General.
Oh, You know, when General Sherman was my senior officer during the siege of Fort Donelson, he wrote me saying, "I have every faith in you. Command me as you will."
Yes, you mentioned that.
Now, it's been a long ride. And well, I remember sitting under the oaks at Shiloh. We'd been caught unprepared. I know retreat was on his mind, but he had the courtesy not to say anything. Instead, he just said, "Well, Grant, we've had the devil's own day, haven't we?"
And you said?
I said, "Yep. Lick 'em tomorrow, though." And he was wounded twice and had 3 horses shot out from under him.
That's the man we're waiting on tonight.
I sure hope it's the same man.
3 horses. You know, I've often found a kindred spirit with Sherman. Both had our bouts with the sadness. Both lost boys to the typhoid within a year of one another.
Father,
It's all right, Mary. The General knows me, and we have nothing to be ashamed of or to hide tonight.
Man is irritable, headstrong, often impatient.
you are alike.
But he's a soldier. The men swear by him.
One final story, if I may. Something only Sherman and I can tell.
Oh, should I leave the room?
Oh, no, ma'am, I beg your pardon. It was late in the summer of 57.
Oh,
I was walking the streets of St. Louis looking for work when I happened across a fellow West Pointer, equally down on his luck. Sherman and I had not seen each other for over 16 years. He had just left the regular army that spring to become a banker just before the crash.
oh.
We commiserated on our failed careers. He said, "Grant, I'm as dead as a rooster in a pit." And we agreed that the regular army in West Point were no training grounds for farmers or bankers or merchants or mechanics.
Well, I must confess I've not heard that story.
Well,
Look where you stand tonight.
yes, having the devil's own time with Lee.
You've heard about the bill introduced.
Mary,
Well, he might as well know.
Oh, yes. I've heard they want to replace me with Sherman. Sherman said he'd make Georgia howl while Lee's army frustrates mine at every turn.
I'll read you something.
Sir?
I noticed this the other day. Thought you needed to hear this. General Grant is a great general. I know him well. He stood by me when I was crazy, and I stood by him when he was drunk. And now, sir, we stand by each other always. General William Tecumseh Sherman.
Mr.
No, I
Lincoln.
had not heard that.
Reading further, his infant son died during the present campaign. He'd never even seen the child.
Gentlemen, no matter the situation, this still remains Christmas.
I'm sorry,
My
Mother.
apologies, ma'am.
Well, you would think a gracious creator would give us a single day, a single night with just a bit of peace.
Mary often struggles with the Creator. Yes, son. I'm left with a harder opponent.
Sir?
Congress.
Oh,
But isn't it peculiar, General, a strange turn of providence, that the fate of this great nation should rest so precariously in the hands of the son of an Ohio tanner, poor farm boy from Kentucky, and Sherman.
also Ohio.
Oh,
His father was a lawyer, died when the boy was 9. Left his mother with 11 children and no inheritance.
oh dear.
He was raised by a neighbor. Told me he averaged 150 demerits a year at West Point.
He wasn't a refined dresser, that I know.
Not in the least. He said that's what kept him a private all 4 years at the Point.
Oh.
But a strange quirk of fate it is that the three of us, all with such meager beginnings, should be given this momentous task.
My grandmother died when my father was 11. His father couldn't raise 6 children, so he was sent out to make his own way in the world. And that's the way he raised us. He expected us to pay our own way.
Your father was a tanner.
Oh, yes, a tanner. Filthy job, house stunk to high heaven. That's why I preferred horses.
But he allowed you to go to West Point.
Allowed me. He insisted. He saw I had no head for business, so he sent me to the army to keep from starving.
And your mother?
Oh, Hannah. Hannah's a very quiet woman. Rarely speaks, even to her own children, and certainly not to reporters.
I can see your mother's reticence in you, General.
Yeah. If Hannah were here in this room with us, she'd be sitting quietly over in the corner, not saying a word, while Father would be trying to sell you a saddle. May I speak frankly?
Oh,
Please,
by all
sir.
means, please.
Well, you know they call me a butcher.
Now, those are unfair words, and they come from a very discontented enemy. Your opponents are mostly south of the battle line, sir.
Yeah, well, the Northern press has been equally unkind.
Well, only when you lose a battle. Mr. Lincoln and I know which newspapers to ignore.
You know, my own home state paper, the Cincinnati Gazette, wrote, "Our noble army of the Mississippi is being wasted by that foolish, stupid, drunken Grant. He does not know how to organize, control, or fight an army. I have no personal feelings on the matter, but I know he is an ass."
You certainly do choose the most remarkable passages to commit to memory, General.
I'm glad he had no personal feelings on the matter.
But-
I have found, General, that it's usually a case of our enemies being better writers than our friends.
Yes.
But you stood by me. When Congressman Washburn, who claimed to have discovered me, demanded my resignation, you stood by me,
And you took Vicksburg.
and I took Vicksburg.
You know, General, I don't think at that point I'd even met you yet.
Which makes your faith in me all the more remarkable. No. War is hell. Those are Sherman's words, but, well, war is hell. And if I could defeat hell without kindling an even hotter flame,
General, I do not dispute your tactics in any way. You stand where you stand tonight because of those tactics and your strategies. You and I both look back on a time when a more fierce pursuit could have ended this war by now.
Yeah, Lee escaping across the Potomac.
And many more lost opportunities.
This June, Philadelphia. How did you put it?
Oh. Well, I said war at best is terrible, and this war of ours, for its magnitude and duration, is one of the most terrible. And yet another crisis looms on the horizon this Christmas Eve.
Sir?
Mary, my coffee has turned cold.
Why do I begin to feel like an errant child being sent from the room? Very well. General, might I?
No, I'm fine, thank you. A determined woman.
A remarkably determined woman. So, do you miss domestic life, sir?
Well, I miss my wife. I miss my family. There's certainly nothing about this war that I shall miss, so yes, I suppose I do. But it's, well, peculiar, really, that I should be so anxious to abdicate the one job at which I found success.
Well, sir, what are your plans after all of this?
Oh, give me the army of Robert E. Lee and I'll have a chance to think about it.
Well, who was the last general to mention that?
Oh, I'm no politician.
It was your friend old Zach Taylor.
I suppose so.
So, General, you've been mentioned as a possible candidate.
No, I'm a soldier, nothing more.
So, tell me, General, when all this is over, not anything about the war here, but tell me about a Christmas, a Christmas before the war, something a little more cheerful, something that sticks fast in your memory.
Well, there have been many Christmases.
Was there one in particular?
Well, yes, the hard scrabble Christmas.
Hard scrabble. I don't believe I've ever heard you mention that, sir.
Well, was the first home I ever built. The only home I ever built, back in Missouri.
Well, I don't know why I've never heard you talk about it. We've had many long discussions.
Well, usually Mrs. Grant is present, and it's not a memory that she cherishes.
Who's that?
Oh, Mrs. Grant.
Oh.
Sit down, Mary. The General's about to tell us about hard scrabble.
Oh, what on earth?
That was the first house he built.
Oh.
House, hardly a cabin, really. It was just after the Mexican War and no more Army paycheck. That was the lowest point in my life, those 7 years after the Mexican War.
I'm sorry, General, but how so?
Well, I was destitute. I was staying in the old Astor House in New York City and could not pay my bill. Buckner paid my way and suggested I write my father for funds, which he provided. But, well, worst of all.
You don't have to
Sir?
finish. Oh, sorry.
Well, I did not know if I would be welcome back in Missouri. But then Julia's letter arrived.
I've always been very fond of how close you and Mrs. Grant are.
It has always been her presence, her letters, her love for me that has sustained me. But I do not have to describe such strength to the Lincolns.
Oh.
So, in the summer '54, I returned to St. Louis, to my family, to meet a son who I had never seen before. But Julia owned 60 acres of uncleared land just outside of town, and we spent the first year clearing it. One team of horses, one field hand, and hard scrabble. A poor, pitiful pioneer dwelling.
Did Mrs. Grant like it?
No, she did not care for it. It was homely and crude. We didn't have money to buy seed, so I wrote to my father asking for a 2-year loan. He never answered the letter.
Well, I knew nothing of this history, sir.
Well, you can understand why I do not include it in my official biography. I'd chop wood and haul it into St. Louis and set up shop on a corner, a poor peddler. But, well, most painful of all.
You don't have to finish, General.
Oh, it's all right. We're friends. Most painful of all would be when I'd encounter one of my former Army colleagues, and they'd say something like, "Good God, Grant, what are you doing?" I'd say, "I'm solving the problem of poverty." Well, once, Lieutenant Averill in the 3rd Infantry left St. Louis, and I went riding after him and caught up 14 miles from the city, seeking a job as a commissary clerk. But they could not employ me.
Go on, sir, if you would.
Oh, I did not want to bring any more gloom to an already anxious Christmas Eve.
Your story, General. How can I put this, Mr. Lincoln?
Well, I think we're both getting a much needed education tonight, Mary.
We are, indeed we are. So Mrs. Grant did not care for hardscrabble.
Julia is the soul of kindness
That's admirable.
and honesty.
Oh.
I picked an elevated spot about 100 feet from the road and started cutting logs.
Oh, well, what did Mrs. Grant do?
Oh, she helped.
Oh.
I dug a cellar and set stones for a foundation, and we had a house raising.
Good. It sounds like you did it yourself, too.
Well, with the help of friends and slaves.
Slaves.
Yeah, it's not the proudest part of my history, but
Did you actually own?
one, William Jones. I could have sold him and temporarily relieved my poverty, but instead I gave him his freedom.
So why didn't Mrs. Grant care for hardscrabble?
Oh, she'd been raised in a fine stone home built by her brother Lewis, and she wanted a plain frame house.
So?
So we built her a log cabin, Mary. Sometimes good things do come from log cabins. Let the man finish.
Well, we moved in September of '56.
Oh, dear.
Yes. Julia did everything she could to disguise the fact it was a cabin. She tried to make it look homey and comfortable. She covered everything with covers and baskets and books, but, well, in her mind, it was no use. It was still a cabin. Well, that's when we started calling it hardscrabble.
Yeah, I can very well imagine. Well, what about your crops?
Oh, the crops. Well,
Yes.
oats, bountiful. Corn, best I ever raised. The potatoes, cabbages, melons, a bumper crop.
Splendid.
That was 1857.
Yes. 57, you said. I'm sorry.
The panic.
Yes, the Panic of '57. Best crops I ever raised, now worth nothing.
I'm so sorry.
But that Christmas, that hard scrabble Christmas, that's the one I remember. I remember the date specifically, December 23rd, 1857. That's when I pawned my last valuable object, my gold watch, so the family could have money to celebrate Christmas. But, well, later we moved into her family place, Whitehaven, after her mother had died.
I like that story, General. I like it very much.
Drink your coffee.
Well, we laugh about it a good deal now, but it was kind of peculiar, that hard scrabble Christmas. Those years with crops and no prices, killer weather, hardship. But we grew. Julia and me, family, we grew together. It was a time of testing.
There shall arise 7 years of famine.
And all the plenty shall be forgotten in the land of Egypt.
But you know, just 2 years ago at Shiloh, you would defend the Union's overrun lines with that same determination, sir.
I have thought about that often, Mr. President.
Men of greatness are molded by their times. And I'm speaking to both of you. Just a passing ambulance.
I'm afraid I must be leaving now.
Oh,
Oh, sir. Please. So soon? You need to get back.
I need to get back to my troops.
Well, sir, we are the grateful recipients of your kindness.
Well, Mr. President, Mrs. Lincoln, I must thank you for this delightful evening, and may the blessings of Christmas be upon you. And Mrs. Grant sends her love.
Oh, she does.
Of course she does, Mary. And please know, sir, if there's a telegram, I want to hear from you.
Oh, well, there'll be no telegrams. The lines from Savannah, indeed throughout the South, have been cut.
Well, I suppose it must be my messenger then.
Well, I'm afraid that's all that's left. May I be so bold?
Sir?
We are cut from the same bolt of cloth, you and I, and while your charming wife has managed a genteel White House throughout the war, you are still the same plain-spoken young congressman who first walked out of the Kentucky hills so long ago. We neither one of us are comfortable with pomp and ceremony.
Oh, Mr. Lincoln has become quite comfortable with pomp and ceremony.
I have?
But unlike you, I have never mastered the art of politics. Sherman told me to stay away from Washington. It's a den of thieves.
Yes. You're a soldier, remember.
Yes, but, well, I never intended to join the military.
You didn't want to be a soldier?
I didn't know what I wanted to be. I thought I'd get an education, become a teacher of mathematics.
Oh.
Well, that's remarkable. But Providence.
Yeah, Providence and my inability to succeed in anything other than horsemanship. Oh, West Point. West Point taught the philosophy of war, but not the humanity. Napoleon was the conquering hero who had perfected the art of war, and that's the way West Point taught us. You make a perfect plan, gather the perfect resources, train the perfect army, and you win the war perfectly.
But you, General...
I never developed Napoleon's detached view of war. War is human. War is not science. War is a mother's son lying bleeding on a battlefield, trusting that his general has a plan, while his general lies in his tent, worrying about the what-ifs. What if the plan doesn't work? What if he's defeated? Oh, war cannot be planned in a West Point classroom. War is not a mathematical theorem. War is human. War must be treated as a human endeavor, and as such, it can't be planned in a West Point classroom. Oh, I tell my generals, we must do this, and we cannot fail. Then I return to my tent and contemplate the what if, the unimaginable, the unthinkable, the defeat. I must return to my troops. Thank you so much for this delightful Christmas Eve. While not my home and hearth, it's certainly superior to an army tent. I must be back.
Well, sir, I want you to know that you remain in our prayers. And you have not only my best wishes, but my entire confidence for whatever you do.
And
Abraham.
whatever news I receive will immediately be brought to you.
Yes.
Mr. Lincoln.
Information.
Mr. Lincoln.
Just a minute. I'm going to see the general out.
Not yet. A rider, a solitary rider.
Oh,
Military issue.
It's a messenger.
excuse me, I must...
Oh, he's coming this way. Oh, please, please let it be. Oh,
Thank you, Mrs. Lincoln,
for what?
for being the strong right arm of our president. Now, Julia has been with me, and I know you've had your difficulties, but Julia has been with me throughout the war, so I know what confidence and comfort that may bring. So, thank you.
Oh, Abraham.
Yes?
Yes, read it.
December 22nd, 2 days ago. I beg to present you as a Christmas gift the city of Savannah with 100 heavy guns and plenty of ammunition, and also about 25,000 bales of cotton. William Tecumseh Sherman. Merry Christmas, General Grant.
Merry Christmas, Mr. President.
Mother.
Father. Those are fancy bells.